Yo, what's going on, guys? DJ Hes here, Collectivekicks.com. Wanted to bring you guys a tutorial video on how to create some shattered backboard Air Jordan 1s out of a pair of laser ones that you can see here. And this has been a video that I've been definitely waiting to show you guys. I'm really excited to show you guys my very first custom that I've done. Not just on my channel, just in real life, which is crazy because I've been collecting sneakers for 10 or 12 years now or something like that. And I've never attempted to do something like this, but it's definitely one of those things that I thought would be fun, and especially since this colorway in particular is one that I really liked, I just knew that this was going to have to happen. So this would not have been possible without Angelus Direct and Sneakerhead in the Bay. Sneakerhead in the Bay already did a bread and a royal one of this, and I'll put a link to his channel as well as Angelus's channel in the description. But basically, I followed his tutorial and actually talked to him quite a bit to be able to accomplish making these things. So big shout out to them. But basically, this is pretty exciting for me to be able to do my first custom. This is going to be more geared towards those like myself that have never really done that stuff, and let you know all of the products that you need to be able to create something like this. And obviously, the place to get them, Angelus Direct, and I'll have some links in the description, as well as at least an itemized list of the things that you need to buy to be able to create these, down to the soles, down to being able to do the Air Jordan logo here, and dyeing the tongue and all that stuff. So, and I'll go over all that in the tutorial. Also, just I guess a heads up, the final product might not look like this because I'm going to try to make this orange a little bit lighter. I'm going to try to basically make this like just a shade lighter like the actual shoe, but I did do the cream here. And let's get into the products and what we actually need to make this happen. So first things first, Angelus does something called a starter kit, and they actually comes with quite a few things. It comes with everything that you see from right here over, and you start off basically with the Angelus cleaner. It's the easy cleaner. Works on suede, leather, nubuck, rubber, vinyl, plastic, whatever. This stuff's supposed to be really good, and I will have a tutorial on how to use this in a future video. But basically, if you don't have a pair that's dead stock, like these ones are, you could clean those things up, which is highly recommended before you start doing a custom. And then once you clean them up, and obviously you use the brush as well to clean with the easy cleaner, then you go ahead and use the leather prepare and deglazer with a cotton ball. And I'll be showing you guys how to do all these things. I just wanted to show you guys up front all the items before we get started. And basically you use this with a cotton ball and you rub it all over the shoe like so. And when you do that, it actually removes a small finish on the outside of these sneakers, and it lets the paint actually bind to the leather better. So it's definitely a necessary step and part of the beginner pack. And then you get 3 little 1 ounce containers of some colors, your choice. There's a whole bunch you can choose from. I got orange here, and orange shows you exactly this orange here, but again, I'm going to use this orange and mix it with part of this one, cream, to get the cream color on the side right here. And I'm going to basically mix these two together. And then the last one you get is black. Now, just a heads up, this is the regular black one. What I actually ended up doing on this pair right here is the flat black. So instead of buying the regular black, you have the option to go ahead, and my dog Chloe's licking the water out of the bowl right now. She's very thirsty. I got the black, but you can just get a little small one of the flat black instead. But those are the 3 that I use. If you're doing a bread or royal, you just need to get the ones that are the ones on those ones. And yes, this 1 ounce size is more than enough to do more than 2 pairs of these. You could probably do 2 or 3 sets with this size right here. There's tons of paint left. And then the last thing you get in the starter kit, you get the brushes, which is obviously essential as well. This kind of fatter one here I used for the translucent part of the sole, and then the black one I used, or this one right here I used on the black, and then this one right here I used on the orange and the cream. But these are definitely an essential as well. Then you also need a couple of other things in order to make this. First of all, for the dye on the bottom, you're going to need leather dye. And I know it's weird, it's called leather dye and you use it on rubber, but it is the dye that's important. And I got the orange color for me. And then the Sole Bright, which turns yellow soles basically clear. And then you mix these two together in a 50-50 mixture. And again, I'll show you guys this in a bit. And you get the bottom. And then you also need some of these little containers like so. And they're like $1 each. But basically I did a 50-50 mixture in this one. of these two right here, and that equals this one. And then I used, for this one right here, I used the matte black, but you'd use the little bottle here, the black, 50-50 mixture of that and water, and then you would use that to paint the fabric on the tongue and on the collar. So that's how you get kind of the look on there. And it's really nice. It's actually really soft. It's not hard and crazy like I thought it would have been. And then you use the last one right here for the nail polish remover. I stole this from my wife upstairs. Probably shouldn't have done that. Angelus has some as well for removing paint. And then the most expensive thing that you'll need out of this, unless you guys have an alternative, and if you guys do have any other alternatives to any of this stuff, leave some comments in the comment section and let people know. But basically, the small brushes here, and you need these if you're going to be able to do something like this with the Air Jordan on the logo there and on the tongue. So this is definitely the hardest part, as Sneakerhead in the Bay said. Definitely, no doubt, the hardest. And I'll have some tips on how to do that when I get to that section. One of the tips involves toothpicks, and also you'll need cotton balls, and then Q-tips as well if you need. But that's pretty much all of the stuff, as well as the tape. You don't need tape, but it's just good to have painter's tape handy if you're nervous about certain areas. And then also nice big old roll of Costco paper towels. You don't need paper towels, you can use towels or whatever, but that's what I use. And let's go ahead and get started in the actual creation of these sneakers right here. All right, so the first bit of the process, you need to use the leather prepare and deglazer with a cotton ball and just rub it all over the shoe and kind of be thorough. Make sure you rub it well in all of the right places, and you should be good to go. All right, so once you get the deglazer working, you can see it sloughs off some of the stuff on the shoe, which is okay. And then next up, flat black 50-50 mix in here with water. However far you fill it up, just remember the other 50 needs to be water. Shake that up. And then we're going to go ahead and do a liner here, and then the tongue. One thing I forgot to mention, it is helpful to tape off this little Nike Air thing. For this custom in particular, the white is desirable since that's the way the original one looks, but some of the other ones, you can paint it all black. And then you just kind of go around, and you have to be patient. I'm not very patient, so it's a little difficult for me, but you definitely want to make sure that there's a 50-50 water mix. If it's too thick in paint, then it will be a little bit crustier than you want. So definitely kind of take note of that. But you just got to be patient when you're laying this stuff down, and it probably wouldn't hurt to do 2 thin layers instead of 1 thick layer. So yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. For me, I have again a really tough time with that. But I'm showing you guys, I'm just basically finishing the entire collar. I went all the way down to the bottom. I didn't remove the insole, but you could if you don't want it to bleed, and it did bleed in one of mine for sure because I dropped some extra paint down there. So not a big deal to me because it's in the insole, but for those that care about that, it might be good to remove the insoles as well. But you just kind of go around the collar and just paint the areas you need to. Also, I was a little bit sloppy on the upper part, but it's okay because I'm going to be painting it black anyways. Here, I definitely went on too thick with the black on the tongue. As you can see, it's a little bit glossy in some areas. And you just got to be really careful around the tag so you can get the desired result of not getting paint on it. And just take your time and paint the tongue. And I'm doing the back side of the tongue now, as you can see. And you just got to be patient. I think that's what Sneakerhead in the Bay said. And it's definitely true. You can see I taped off the areas down there. Doesn't really need to be done because, honestly, because that part is black anyway. But the bottom part where the toe box is, that's kind of important that you make sure that you don't get onto the bottom part. Since this is black and the toe box will be orange, it's just easier if you don't get black paint down there. So I just blocked it off a little bit and make it easier. So here's the progress. You can see the tongue is colored completely. And I taped off that there. And then you can see the back collar as well. It's painted pretty good. And there you have it. So next up is going to be some colors. So for the colors, I decided to start with the orange. I don't think it really matters, but I wanted to start with the orange. Now I'm throwing out the note again that I should have used the orange and cream mixture, but I did the regular orange. At the end, I ended up doing a layer of the orange and cream mixed to give it kind of a lighter look. And then also the matte finish is something that I should mention that would have been needed, that I did not use, that would be helpful. You can see you got to be really, really careful with this section right here of the Nike Air on the tongue. And it's pretty difficult, and you can see I'm dipping into the lid, not into the jar, just to make it easier. Next up, I'm using the cream and painting the cream. You just got to be careful around the edges. That's probably the hardest part, is just figuring out the technique to make sure that you can get all the way up to the edges okay and not smear it around. But you just got to be slow and patient, and definitely don't want a thick layer. You want kind of a thin layer and a couple layers at that. So 2 layers of tan, or the cream color, and then I did 2 layers of the orange as well. And then the black, I don't know if it needs 2 layers or not. I don't think it does, but you can be consistent and use 2 layers if you want. Getting around the stitching and the laser part is definitely the hardest on this shoe. The black is the one where you definitely have to be the carefulest. If you overdo your boundaries there, then you end up screwing up things, because obviously black over top of tan or cream or orange is not a good look. So definitely just take your time. Be careful around the edges of the midsole as well, because that will be a pain to get out also. So just be really, really careful and use the edges of the brush carefully. But basically that's pretty much it. You can see I'm just finishing up doing the swoosh last. And I mean, you could do that first or last. I don't think it really matters. Just got to, again, be careful. If you do mess up a little bit, you can use a toothpick, and you can wrap a little dampened paper towel around the tip of the toothpick, and then you can rub it on the area that you got stuff on, and sometimes that helps. I don't know, that's at least what I found helpful for getting the areas that I made messes on. You can see I'm using the orange and cream mixture right now and going over a final layer of the shoe, and just giving it kind of a lighter look. So that's kind of what I was doing right there. And then this is probably the most difficult part, and that's the Air Jordan logo. You just got, speaking of being patient, this is the area you definitely need to be the most patient. Although you can just kind of do the same thing with a toothpick and then just kind of remove some sections, and I'll show you that in just a second, because I definitely made some errors on this thing. But definitely take your time. There is no rush at all. That's a little trick to cleaning up this Air Jordan sign. You can see I messed it up quite a bit. Just take a regular toothpick, and across the areas where you went over on the line wise, just rub the black spot over top of it with a toothpick. So here's an on-feet look of the final product. I did clean up that logo quite a bit. I didn't leave it as shabby as what it just showed it there. But that part is definitely time consuming. These are what they look like though on feet. Notice that the orange is not matte. I did lighten it from the really dark orange, but it still is not matte. It's a little shiny. So definitely probably something to note. And I believe I mentioned that at the end of this video as well. And I will show you a comparison to the actual pair that were released and then my custom side by side. And then, yeah, that's pretty much will sum up the video. But hopefully you guys liked it and learned a little bit. I definitely am in a learning phase. So if you guys have any comments in the comment section, weigh in and let me know what I did wrong, what I could have done better. I know the piping around the shoe is white still. I could have filled those in black or orange or whatever it was. But I didn't. I was lazy, and then I kind of liked it the way it looked. But anyway, here's the final part. All right, guys, so just to give you guys a final look and a side-by-side to the real pair right here. The ones on the right are the release pair. The ones on the left are the ones that I did. There's a couple things that I would note that I would do differently if I could. The first thing is this color. You definitely want to mix the cream and the orange to give you a lighter color. I could have done a little bit better on the color matching, because this color and this color are definitely different. This is darker than this one. Also, the finish. The finish on this one is glossy, and I did not mix it with the matte or do the matte finisher, which is what I definitely needed to do to make it so it wasn't as glossy. So I do realize that, yes, it is glossy, and you can fix that if you use the matte finish. All in all, though, and then also I would probably do another layer of black on the tongue, and you got to be careful with the tongue and the collar, just to make sure that your ratios are right. If you do too much black paint it becomes stiff. So you definitely want to have the water in there as well. But not bad for my first custom. I mean, you can see it up close. The lines, the hardest parts were for sure like the laser parts and the stitching, because that was really hard to daub and get enough of there. Also, the raw edges here, I didn't do down the middle. I could have, I just didn't want to. I actually kind of liked it just looking like kind of raw, but a little bit off. I mean, all this should be black, like obviously on like the released pair. So you could do that if you want to take the time to do it. I might go back and do it if I want to be a perfectionist, but for my first one, I'm not really tripping. The sole is obviously going to look different because this is dye over, and this is orange. And then the last thing, the Air Jordan. This was a really hard thing to do. This is no joke. And obviously it's not the best. It's not perfect, but not bad considering. And this was painted black. And I don't know, just all in all, I think this was a pretty fun experience and definitely fun to do. And I didn't know I was actually going to be able to get so many pairs of the shattered backboards. But it was fun to take and create my own pair of these. So if you guys like this video, please give the video a thumbs up. Do appreciate it. And again, thanks to Angelus Paint and Sneakerhead in the Bay for the help and the tips on how to make this successful for my first one. Leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. If you guys think I did all right or not, or any other suggestions, always appreciate it. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.